Next, we have Dr. Soumya. She is running a beautiful practice in Urg, and she will be talking about water and electricity management.
Thank you, Dr. Samresh, for putting together this wonderful session. And I'm so inspired by my previous speakers as well. But like ma'am said, we're already leading the way because we've always believed in reusing things. And I think sometime back we would see memes on internet about jugaad in Indian households where we're reusing everything, but actually we've always been so sensitive about wasting things. I think it's part of our culture to make the best of everything that we have, and I think we shouldn't lose it just wanting to mimic the West. I think that's something very important for us to take back from here. So water and electricity management are one of the key pillars of sustainability. Like Dr. Samresh was discussing, electricity is one of the key indicators in management of sustainability. And conserving water is not only important for its environmental impact and in being a very important and precious resource, but also it can help communities deal with climate change, and it can go a long way in conserving our aquatic life as well. Water scarcity is not something that we are potentially anticipating a problem in the future, but it is a reality in most cities right now. And buildings account for a significant portion of water consumption, making sustainable water management extremely important. So to understand how efficiently we are using water, it's important for us to understand the concept of water performance score. So water performance score of a building is the annual freshwater demand in liters divided by building occupancy and the number of working days. So to understand how efficient a building is or the people in the building are, it is compared with a sustainable and LEED certified building to see how well they are doing in comparison with other buildings. There are many ways to conserve water, and it is very important for us to follow each one of these techniques, whether it is installing water efficient appliances, making sure we regularly check and detect leaks, harvesting rainwater, recycling grey water, or using xeriscaping, which is basically to use drought resistant plants to reduce water usage. In the last decade, there have been many innovations as far as water efficient fixtures are concerned, starting from low flow faucets to energy rated washing machines and using sensor activated faucets to reduce water usage. So this is a small contraption I picked up from Amazon more than 7 to 8 years back. And like you can see, you can just fix it onto the end of a tap, and it on its own just converts a high flow tap into a low flow tap. And I'm sure sensors for water tanks are already there in our day-to-day life. Now we are all sensitive to water leakage this way. And along with this, taking care of other areas of plumbing deficiency can go a long way in conserving water. Both Feng Shui and Vastu describe a leaky tap as extremely inauspicious. So it shows that we've always been sensitive about not wasting water, and I think we should take this forward seriously as well. Rainwater harvesting is basically collecting water from surfaces like rooftops, filtering it, and then storing it in tanks or cisterns for non-potable reasons. Similarly, grey water recycling is the practice of using wastewater from laundry, dishwashing, and bathing to again further filter it, store it, and then use it for activities like flushing, irrigation, car washing, etc. Now, the benefits of rainwater harvesting and grey water recycling is that you get to reduce the demand of fresh water that needs to be used for potable reasons. So basically what we want to do in grey water management is to reduce the need for fresh water, which we can restrict for potable use, and then reuse grey water and recharge our groundwater so that we are more sustainable and we are not in crisis when the time comes. Wastewater treatment from sewage is going to be mandatory for many large buildings. The government regulations want to make sure that we are not releasing sewage water into water bodies and then we are recycling that as well. So STPs earlier would be constructed in the form of chambers, but now they are prefabricated and they can be underground as well. And as our practice scales, we will find that this is going to become mandatory for our ophthal hospitals as well. Xeriscaping, like I discussed, is to use drought-resistant plants versus fancier plants like lawns, which require a lot of watering. And efficient irrigation methods like drip irrigation and subsurface irrigation can prevent wasting of water through unnecessary usage. Now, energy or electricity is the most heavily weighted category as far as sustainability is concerned due to its effect on global warming. The importance of efficient electricity management is not only in sustainability, but it can go a long way in reducing the dent that electrical bills are causing to us. The highest use of electricity in modern buildings tends to be heating and air conditioning, followed by lighting. Equipment and plug loads come next, and since as ophthalmologists we are so dependent on equipment, it's very important for us to be sensitive to this and try and reduce plug loads in the form of machines sitting idle when they're not actively being used. So that is something I think we need to introduce in our culture with our staff, where we're not running anything or just keeping something on just to prevent having to turn it on. So the energy performance of a building or an equipment, the lower it is, the lower the energy use, the higher the energy performance score. The key components of electricity management involves identifying the usage, analyzing it, and automating it to prevent energy drains. So this is a sub-meter that we can introduce in our circuits, whether it's per floor or per segment or per equipment, whatever it is that we want to calculate. In turn, it goes into a PLC or programmable logic circuit and then further analyzed by a SCADA or supervisory control and data acquisition system. So most large industries already have this in place, and they use it to as a way to identify breakdown and energy leaks. So like we discussed, the most important or the highest electricity consumption in our buildings is through air conditioning. So it's important for us to see how we can reduce our usage as far as air conditioning is involved. So instead of using multiple split ACs, we can use VRV units, which sort of reduce the electricity load in areas where it is not needed. And basically only required capacity is generated depending on where it is being used. It also comes with a central remote controller, so you can identify areas where it is being used idle and then attend to it as and when required. The next most important thing is the lighting. So this can be done either by implementing LED lighting and using occupancy sensors or using natural light. I'm sure all of us have moved from our older incandescent and halogen lights to LED lights now. And it's very important for us to understand building architecture when we start to build, and whenever we are able to make changes, to make the best use of natural light and ventilation. So this is my first floor waiting area. And I can run my clinic from 9 to 6 without having to turn on a single light. And of course we use, this is my consultation chamber again, without a single light bulb being turned on. But of course for aesthetic reasons in opticals and things like that, we may need to turn it on. But just making a point here for using natural sunlight for as much as possible. And if you've understood in our ancient literature as well, in Vastu, they want us to have a lot of openings in the east and north. So this is where the best amount of comfortable light can come in. And it is advised to build completely on the west so that we block out the sunlight, and the heat that is coming into the buildings can be blocked out. And just to give you a perspective, in my hospital I don't have a single AC in most of my consultation rooms or common waiting areas, and except for the equipment which need it. And I use the fan for about 2 months a year. But of course I live in Coorg, so we can't extrapolate the same thing to Jaipur or Chennai. But I think we need to be sensitive about how we can make best use of what is naturally available to us. The last thing, of course, would be energy efficient appliances to replace equipment that are high on energy with equipment that are available with lower energy use. I remember as a child being annoyed that, in holidays when you're at home and 10 o'clock you want to watch TV, the government suddenly turns off the light, and I'm like, why is the light being turned off? Why is the electricity going away when we need it the most? It's because there are certain hours of the day when the demand for electricity is the highest in industries and in commercial establishment, and the government is not able to meet this need for energy in the peak hours. This is why we have load shedding. There are also states wherein the electricity charges for use during peak hours are much higher than the rest of the day. So it would be very important and very intelligent of us to use renewable energy sources, especially to cover these times, so that we can reduce the load on the entire system as well. So solar systems are available along with inverters now, where you can generate solar energy, store it in batteries and use it even just in the peak hours, so you reduce the demand on the entire system. The government is incentivizing solar energy in a big way as well. So if this is something that you have been considering to do, I think this is the best time to do it. So in conclusion, energy management, sustainability, water conservation was a problem of the past, and if we have not dealt with it, then it's a problem currently. It's important not only because we want to conserve these resources for our future generations, but also it can make us more sustainable to deal with climate change, weather change, unpredictability, to be sort of sustainable in our own sense and not be dependent on external sources as well. Thank you. This is where I